Have you ever wondered if that automatic transmission you rely on every single day is truly indestructible? Spoiler alert, it's not. In fact, some of your most common, seemingly harmless driving habits are slowly, silently, and systematically destroying it from the inside out. We're not talking about catastrophic one-time events. We're talking about the little things you do at traffic lights, on hills, and even in your own driveway. Today, we're exposing the 6 golden rules of what not to do with your automatic transmission. Breaking these rules is a one-way ticket to a repair bill that will make your eyes water. So if you want to save yourself a fortune and keep your car out of the workshop, you need to hear this. Golden rule number 1. Master your parking protocol. It sounds simple, but this is where thousands of drivers get it spectacularly wrong. First, let's talk about shifting into park before your car has come to a complete and total stop. When you slam that shifter into P while you're still rolling, even at just a couple of kilometers per hour, you are forcing a small metal pin called the parking pawl to crash against a spinning gear. Think of it like shoving a steel rod into the spokes of a bicycle wheel. That horrible grinding noise you might hear, that's the sound of metal screaming in agony. That parking pawl was never designed to stop the weight of your car. It was designed to hold it still once it is already stopped. Do this enough times and you'll shear that pin right off, leading to a transmission that won't stay in park, or worse, catastrophic damage to the output shaft. The fix is simple. Come to a full stop, then, and only then, shift into park. But that's only half the battle. The second crime most people commit is relying solely on that tiny parking pawl by not using the parking brake. When you park, especially on any kind of incline, and don't engage the parking brake, the entire weight of your vehicle rests on that single pin. That's thousands of pounds of pressure on a component no bigger than your finger. Over time, this constant stress weakens the pawl and puts enormous strain on the entire transmission linkage. The correct procedure every single time you park is this. Come to a complete stop. Keep your foot on the brake. Shift to neutral. Engage the parking brake firmly until you feel the car settle, then release your foot from the brake, and finally, shift into park. This ensures the car's weight is held by the brakes, not your fragile transmission. Golden rule number 2, respect your fluids. Your car runs on a variety of essential fluids, and 2 of them are critical to your transmission's health, even one you wouldn't expect. Let's start with the obvious, transmission fluid. Many people believe it's a lifetime fluid. This is a dangerous and expensive myth. Your transmission is a high-friction environment, and its fluid is what lubricates, cleans, and most importantly, cools the internal components. Over time, usually every 80,000 kilometers or so, this fluid breaks down. It goes from a bright, clean red to a murky, burnt-smelling brown. This old, degraded fluid loses its ability to cool effectively, leading to overheating, which is the #1 killer of automatic transmissions. Now, let's talk about a fluid you don't want anywhere near your transmission, water. Driving through deep puddles or flooded streets is playing Russian roulette with your gearbox. Most transmissions have a breather vent located surprisingly low on the casing. If water gets into that vent, it mixes with the transmission fluid, creating a milky, useless sludge. This contaminated fluid will destroy clutches and bands in a heartbeat. The damage is irreversible. You can't just drain it and refill it. Once water gets in, a full rebuild is usually your only option. And while we're on fluids, don't forget your fuel tank. Running your car on empty starves the fuel pump, which is located inside the tank and relies on the surrounding gasoline for cooling. An overheated, failing fuel pump can cause performance issues that mimic transmission problems, leading to a costly misdiagnosis. Keep your tank at least 1/4 full. Golden rule number 3, banish the neutral nonsense. There are 2 pervasive myths about using the neutral gear that need to die right now. The first is coasting downhill in neutral to save fuel. This is without a doubt one of the most counterintuitive and dangerous things you can do. Modern cars are smart. When you're in drive and going downhill with your foot off the gas, the car's computer cuts fuel flow to the injectors completely. The engine is being turned by the momentum of the wheels, using zero fuel. This is called engine braking. The moment you shift into neutral, the engine has to inject fuel just to keep itself idling. So not Not only are you using more fuel by coasting, you've also disengaged the transmission from the wheels. This means you have no immediate power if you need to accelerate out of a dangerous situation, and you lose the benefit of engine braking, putting all the stopping pressure on your brake pads and rotors. This causes them to overheat and wear out much faster. The second bit of neutral nonsense is not using it at long traffic lights. Leaving your car in drive while stopped for more than, say, 20 seconds keeps the torque converter engaged and constantly trying to push against the brakes. This generates a surprising amount of heat in the transmission fluid. A few minutes of this on a hot day can raise the fluid temperature by 15 degrees Celsius. Over a lifetime of daily commutes, this cumulative heat damage takes its toll. The simple fix? If you know you'll be stopped for a while, just pop it into neutral. It disengages the torque converter, lets the transmission relax, and allows the fluid to cool down. Golden rule number 4, conquer the temperature trap. Your transmission hates extreme temperatures, both cold and hot, and your habits can make things much worse. Let's start with the cold. On a frosty morning, your transmission fluid thickens up like cold honey. Forcing the car into gear and driving off immediately puts immense strain on the internal hydraulics. The fluid can't flow properly, causing slow, harsh shifts and starving critical components of lubrication at the worst possible moment. Just like you warm up your body before a workout, you need to give your car a minute. Starting it and letting it idle for just 60 seconds is enough to allow the engine and transmission fluid to warm up and circulate. This tiny bit of patience prevents years of wear and tear. On the other end of the spectrum is excessive heat, often generated by prolonged idling. While modern cars have electric fans, letting a car sit in drive for long periods, like in a drive-through line, puts a constant load on the transmission and generates heat with no airflow to help dissipate it. For diesel engines, it's even worse, as prolonged idling can lead to unburnt fuel contaminating the engine oil, reducing its ability to lubricate properly, which indirectly affects the entire powertrain's health. Managing temperature is about finding a balance, a brief warm-up when it's cold, and avoiding long, loaded idles when it's hot. Golden rule number 5, stop the abusive driving. Your car might feel like a tank, but your transmission is a complex piece of precision engineering, and it doesn't appreciate being treated like a battering ram. The most common form of abuse is sudden, aggressive acceleration from a dead stop. Launching your car like you're at a drag strip sends a violent shockwave through the entire drivetrain. The engine mounts, suspension bushings, and especially the internal clutches and gears of the transmission take a brutal hit. Doing this repeatedly is the fastest way to wear out these components. A smooth, progressive acceleration is not only more comfortable, but also infinitely better for the longevity of your vehicle. An even more destructive habit is what some people call a rocking shift, switching between drive and reverse while the car is still moving. Trying to get quickly out of a parking spot or a snowbank by shifting from reverse to drive before the wheels have stopped turning is catastrophic. You are forcing the transmission bands and clutches to act as brakes, something they were never designed to do. This places an unimaginable amount of stress on the gear train and can cause immediate, severe damage. Always come to a complete stop before shifting between forward and reverse gears. And finally, if you're stuck in snow, spinning your wheels is the worst thing you can do. All that frantic wheel spin does is dig you deeper while rapidly overheating your transmission fluid to a boiling point, potentially causing permanent damage. Golden rule number 6. Listen to your car. It's talking to you. Your vehicle provides constant feedback about its health. You just need to pay attention. The most obvious cries for help are the warning lights on your dashboard. They are not decorations. A transmission temperature light, a check engine light, or an oil pressure light is your car's way of screaming that something is seriously wrong. Ignoring these lights is like ignoring chest pain. It might be nothing, but it could also be the sign of an impending and very expensive heart attack. Get any warning light checked out immediately. A small fix today can prevent a catastrophic failure tomorrow. But your car also communicates in more subtle ways. One habit that interferes with this is resting your hand on the gear selector. While it might feel comfortable, your hand's weight puts constant, light pressure on the shifter fork and selector mechanism. Over thousands of kilometers, this small, unnecessary force can lead to premature wear on the bushings and synchronizers, creating slop in the shifter and potentially causing issues with gear engagement down the road. Your hands belong on the steering wheel. Keeping them there not only makes you a safer driver, but also protects the delicate internals of your transmission. So what's the worst transmission habit